Hi, my name is Heather, and welcome to another episode of Cover to Cover Procreate Edition, my series where I share my process with you, illustrating and publishing a children's book. I have my storyboard pulled up here, and last episode we did the scene of Bitsy Bee waking up, and for this episode, I think I'll do the one of her underneath the flower. So I'm going to go to my layers and I'm going to select the layer that has my sketches on it. And then I'm going to grab my select tool and I'll grab just that sketch. And then I'm going to swipe with my 3 fingers and do copy. And then create a new canvas. And I'm going to do children's book page, which already has the calculations. And I have videos for that if you want to know how to calculate that. And then I'm going to swipe with my 3 fingers and paste. And then I'm just going to make this sketch as big as the page. So this part right here with the wavy line, that's supposed to be some text that's going to be written like in a wave like that. And then this squiggly line down here is also going to be text. And she's supposed to be hiding from the rain. So I'm going to start by taking that layer and I'm going to reduce the opacity. And then I'm going to create a new layer and I'll put it underneath that one. And I'm going to start with the sky. So I'm going to pick a blue, but then I want it to be a little bit dreary. So I'm just going to bring down the saturation. And then I'm going to use my sponge/oil brush. I'm going to make it really big. I always like to use this brush for backgrounds because it gives such good texture. And it also gets really big. There are other brushes that have nice texture, but they just don't get big enough. And so all the texture is like really little. This one's nice and big. And then I'll also use a slightly different color. I think that's good. And then I'm going to create a new layer and I'll do the ground on this one. So I think I'll use the colored pencil for this one and I'll make it really big. And then I'm going to do a green, but again, since it's dreary, I'm going to make it less saturated, so I'll pull it down to the left. I'm going to see if I can find a bigger one. Oh, I do have this painty round one by Bardo brush. That's nice and big. All right, I think I can maybe brighten it up a little bit. I'm going to hide my sketch so I can kind of preview it, see what it looks like. And maybe I'll use a little bit of a darker tone too. Now I'll add the sunflower. Or actually, maybe I'll make it a daisy because since she's going to be yellow and black, maybe I want a different color. So I think a daisy actually would be good. I'm going to use the colored pencil for this one. And I'm just going to start by coloring in the shape here. And then I'll add some shading after. And then I'm going to make the inside part of the flower. Now I'm going to go to the layer and I'm going to do alpha lock. So now I won't be able to color outside of the layer. And I'm going to make this a little darker, so it's going to be a very light gray. And I'll add some shading here. All right, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can do some more blended shading. I just want to add a little bit of texture to the petals so they're not just a flat color. Now I'm going to go to that middle part of the flower, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn on alpha lock, and then I'll just add some shading. So I'm just going to make the color a little bit darker. And then I can go around the edge here, add a little bit of texture to the whole thing. And then I think I'll just go back to that color and then pick a little bit of a lighter color. And then I can do some highlights. Now I can add the stem. So I'm just going to add another layer, and this one's going to be underneath the flower. And I'll just grab a green and then just make it a little bit darker. And then I'm also going to add the leaf. I'm going to put that on another layer that's going to be behind the stem. And now I'm going to hide my sketch layer again, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one. So I'm going to turn alpha lock on for both of these, and then I'll just add the shading. Okay, there's my little flower, and now I'm going to add my bee. And since she's a character in my book, I want to make sure she stays consistent. So I'm going to go to one of my other pages that I illustrated and copy her. So I think the best one to copy is probably this one because she's already sitting down, and she's going to be sitting down in this other one as well. I have her in this whole group right here. So I'm going to click and drag, and then I'm going to click gallery with my other finger and click into the artwork and just drop it in. But it is really tricky because it always places the layers in the opposite order for some reason. I'm just going to reverse the order of the layers. So this goes all the way up top here, and then her eyes, and then her head, and so on. I'm going to group these again, and I'm just going to flip it. So I'll go to my select tool and flip horizontal, and then I'll make it bigger. And see, this is really helpful because when I drew her in the sketch, I made her head like a lot bigger in proportion to her body. But actually that wouldn't really be correct. It wouldn't be consistent with the other drawings of her. So that's why I like to do the copy and pasting. But when you resize in Procreate, it's really bad at resizing, and it makes it super blurry even if you're sizing down. So I always still have to do adjustments and stuff. And of course, everything is in kind of like the wrong place anyways. So I'm just going to delete the arms and legs. And the eyes, I'm going to want them looking upwards, like in my sketch. So I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to grab black and my smooth pencil here, and I'll do her frown. I do need to touch up the eyes since they are blurry, so I'm going to take my eraser, and I'm just going to go right against the edge to give them that harder edge so they don't look so blurry. Her antennas are going to be different too. So I'm just going to erase them off of this layer, and then I'll put them on a separate layer. This drawing is actually perfect for today because it's a pretty rainy, dreary day today. I'm going to keep these flower petals hidden for now so that I can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to make a new layer, and this is going to be her antennas. And then her body is definitely in kind of a different position. So I'm going to rotate it because she's kind of like looking forward, like bending forward a little bit. So I'm thinking maybe kind of like that. And then I'm just going to erase some of this too, so it kind of looks more like she's kind of stretching her neck a little bit, looking. And then I want it to look like her butt is like sitting on the ground. Let me move her further down. I'm going to hide her wings for now too. And I think her butt just needs to be like a little more flat. So it's kind of like sitting against the ground. That makes a little more sense. And then I'm just going to need to do alpha lock so then I can kind of color this gray. And I also need to sharpen these edges anyways, since I resized it, so this will also help with that. I'm doing the shading a little bit differently because I feel like it would be darker on this side because her head is kind of covering right here. I'm also going to touch up the edges around her head to make it look more clear because it looks really blurry right now since I resized it. Now I'm going to show my sketch layer, and let's move my bee over here so I can kind of see what she's going to look like here. I need to add her arms, so I'm going to add a new layer and get the black, and I'm going to make her arms and her legs. And now the last part of her that we have is the wings. So I'm going to show those layers. I'm probably going to end up rotating them. Let's see. There, I think that would be good. Now I'm going to put my petals layer back on. That looks super cute. I think I really like that. And now I just want to add the rain. So I'm going to go all the way to the top here. And I'm just going to do diagonal lines, but they get kind of lighter and thinner towards the top. And then some of them don't go all the way. I think this page is done. There was one other thing that I wanted to show you, which is how I export my drawings. First, I export the whole drawing as one thing. So I just go up here and do share, and then I do as a PNG and save image. But I also like to export the background and the things in the foreground as separate pieces, because that way when I go to put all the text in and do all the layout, I can move things around if I need to. Like maybe I need a little more space under where she's sitting to put some text there, right? So then I can just move her up a little bit and it's easy. So the way that I do that is first I would just hide everything except for the background. And then I just share that as a PNG, save image, and then I will hide the background and hide the background color down here, so that way I'll get transparent PNGs. So then I can export just the ground here, so I'll do the same thing, export it as a PNG, and then I'll hide that and I'll do just the daisy here, export that as a PNG, and then I'll do just the bee. And then I'll do just the rain. So now I have all the pieces in case I want to move anything around later. Now this page is done, and that's it for this video. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And as always, you can email me at heather@heathercash.com. If you're working on your own children's book, join my Creativity Club on Facebook, where we share our projects and support each other and help each other to reach our creative goals. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so I know to make more videos like this. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.